in the TeamSpeak with Impression. Impression, you there?
Yeah, what's up?
It's
Welcome
up, Impression.
to our humble abode.
Well,
Enjoyed that?
good to be here. I'm speaking Impression, yeah?
Yeah, Impression, yeah, what's up?
Alright, Impression. Firstly, tough game. Very, very, very intense game coming out from both Bovines as well as you guys. And can you just take us through the game? Like, it did wind up 16-14 in the end to Bovines, but like, can you just take us through the game? Like, what were your thoughts in the game? You being the IGL, you did, you lost quite a few rounds on your CT side, but then you did manage to fight back on the T side quite effectively later on. So, can you just like take us through the game overall, like a short description of what you felt went wrong, what you did right, and how Bovines were, when facing off against them?
Well, first of all, I have to really give props to, and pardon the background noise a bit, huh?
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
Yeah. First of all, I really give props to Koyuki, my teammate Alvin, because he played, I have to say, a fantastic CT side, to be honest. Because he really made a lot of good plays. I'm not sure if any of you have seen it. Like, he actually pushed through smoke, killed 3 guys all by himself.
Indeed.
And won us around. So, it was really, our CT side was a lot on Koyuki, in fact. And I really have to give props to him for that, for holding it very well for us.
And I just wanted to, just interrupting you right there. I also need to just 1 second. It looks like most people can't hear you, so in the stream. So they might have to speak up a little louder, or maybe you can increase your volume in the this one in TeamSpeak. I don't think the people in the stream can hear you right now, Impression.
How about now? Is it still okay? Is it?
Yeah, I think it's much better right now. So yeah, go on. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that even in one thing I noticed was in A site, you yourself did a great job shutting it down, getting a lot of triple kills inside of A site as well. When they came out of Palace and A slope. So, but why do you think you lost quite a few rounds on your CT side?
Well, first of all, for my team, we decided that when we were facing Bovines, that we will actually play for more towards a retake kind of strat.
Okay.
So we let them have the bomb site, and then we go back in afterwards and try to get the bomb site back. And it kind of worked out well for us, considering we have a nice 6 half, and Bovines is known to have a very, very impressive T side.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
So I guess the reason why we lost 6 rounds when we could have gotten more was somewhat due to some certain miscommunications. Like, for example, we won a pistol round, and then we lost the anti-eco right after. Because we had this miscommunication over at the B side.
I remember that B push coming up with the Tech 9, and I think one player of yours had I forgot the name of the player. He had a Bison and an SMG, while the T's had, I think, armor and Tech 9s coming out. So that was pretty tough for them to handle in B side. And I think that's why you lost 3 rounds in a row, if I'm not wrong. Yeah,
yeah, we lost 3 rounds in a row, managed to recover, and then it was basically back and forth a bit. And we managed to end in our favor. The reason why we lost that round, I believe, is because the 2 players that we had on our B side, Koyuki and Vicious, Koyuki had a Molotov along with his Bison, so he was prepared, in fact, for the spray down and then the pushing of a 5-man terrorist coming in. But when Koyuki threw the Molotov, Vicious actually threw a smoke on top of it.
Okay.
So that kind of, pardon me for this, but screwed things up a bit for us and went in their favor, and then we lost that round, and then we basically lost 3 rounds that we shouldn't have lost, just by losing the anti-eco. So that's that. And if maybe it could have turned out differently if we didn't lose the anti-eco. So we still have a lot to work on, I believe.
Well, but I mean, your CT side, like I said, apart from losing those 3 rounds in the beginning, losing that eco round, you did do a great job, restricting Bovines. And for example, if you look at a player like Alex, that guy is known as being an absolute monster, especially while opening up sites. He just pushes in, and something like Freiburg, I would say. I'm a huge fan of him when it comes to being an entry fragger. But you guys were quite able to shut them down quite effectively on their T side. But coming onto your onto Bf.Nut's T side, you guys did quite a great job. But in the end, you were leading 13-11, I think 13-11 to 13-10, and then Bovines kind of caught up with you guys. They won 3 rounds, I think, at a stretch. And what went wrong there, if you don't mind me asking that?
Yeah, it's fine, no problems. For that, it's more or less somewhat I could say that experience played a part of this as a team, because I'm not sure if you guys know about the history of our Bf.Nut roster, but coming into the ESEA League, we've actually replaced 2 players, and with the 2 new players, they are still fairly inexperienced, as well as our own players. We didn't manage to keep ourselves together as composed as we should have been, and we end up more or less falling apart because there were a few rounds where you seen certain smokes getting thrown wrongly, or certain angles not getting covered properly, and then we basically lost from there. Like, there was this one particular round where we didn't get a bomb down, even though we had people covering CT and there was no smoke on CT. So rounds like that, in all honesty, I felt we should have lost. But either way, it's a good learning experience for us, I guess.
All right. So, but I mean, you all guys are pretty much a young team. I think I remember. I did have a couple of practice games with my team as well against you guys earlier, late last year as well. So I did remember that you did have new players coming in, and Bovines, I think they've been playing together for a while. Speaking of which, I have a question here from one of the viewers. That, in your opinion, who do you think is the best entry fragger in Singapore right now?
That would depend if you're talking about entry fragger with a rifle or sniper rifle.
How about both? Like, let's give it a shot. Like, as an AWPer as well as with with a rifle.
Well, it might be a bit biased coming from me, because actually, in terms of a rifle, I believe Nico really has it down. As you can see, open up sights like cracking a shell with like.
And I think he has a pretty high sensitivity, because he was just like taking his 180-degree shots. Like, when you're pushing into a site as a T site, obviously you got to check all the corners, like left, right, back, everywhere. And he seemed to be like checking every corner really, really fast. So yeah, I do kind of agree with you when it comes to that. And how about when it comes to the sniper rifle? Any particular player that comes into mind?
When it comes to a sniper rifle, I would say that you have a very balanced duo between Splashkey and Moxie from Bovines, from Insidious Gaming and Bovines respectively. I'm not sure how it works out. I mean, the last time I seen them play on LAN against each other was like, I believe 11 months ago, March or something like that. So it was a very eye-opening experience for me back then, because I was still fairly new to the competitive scene, and seeing those 2 really experienced players go against each other with the 8LP was really something else. Quite spectacular, in fact.
All right, and okay, I got a question from one of the subs here. He's asking me to ask you, what do you feel about the teams playing in the Alpha Cup, the LAN event on the 8th of March?
For that, I'm actually not sure who has registered yet for the Alpha Cup team, so I can't really give a comment about that, but I believe we're going to go in prepared. ESEA to us was just a stepping stone to success, I believe, and we've gotten quite far, quite been better, considering that we lost 2 games, 16-14, both of them.
Yeah, so, tough luck. And
yeah.
Speaking of which, I don't know if you saw the previous game. I guess you didn't, obviously. But we did. What do you think about the overall scene? Like, when it comes to Southeast Asia, who would you rate in the top 3 teams in Southeast Asia right now? Like, in your opinion, who are playing in ESEA? Let's put it that way.
In Southeast Asia, I believe NXL definitely has it down from Indonesia, because they are a professional team, for one thing, which is quite rare in the Southeast Asia scene, for one thing.
True.
Because they are fully funded, and they have a well-working organization, and they're more or less full-time gamers. Whereas teams in Singapore are not as free, to be honest.
To play all the time.
Yeah, to commit to like full-time gaming. Like, if Bovines had the same resources NXL had, I believe Bovines would be really, really good right now, and possibly even international. And that's the thing about Southeast Asia, we just don't really have that much time, because we all busy with work and studies and stuff
Work
like
and
that.
studies, yeah. That's so. I mean, myself personally, being from India, I do get that, feeling that, if you tell the parents, "Hey, mom, hey, dad, I'm going to be playing video games for, instead of working or studying," they're going to be really, really pissed off. So, I get what you're trying to say. But in ESEA, like ever since the ESEA Open League came out, we've seen a few teams. One team in particular, Skyred from Vietnam, the ex Legends team. Um, I personally think they are really strong. But how about MVP Gaming? They're right now completely unbeaten on the ESEA League from Malaysia.
Yeah, MVP. The last I seen them was actually last year. I think late last year
Okay.
when we went for the Orange Esports Cup in Kuala Lumpur. And since then, I believe their lineups changed a bit. And I've never actually had a chance to practice against them, so I'm not sure exactly how good they are.
All right.
But looking at their stats, I mean, they're definitely a team to look out for.
All right.
And as for Skyway, we always knew that they were. Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's fine. That sounds like an aggressive dog.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
As for Skyway,
And
we've always known them to be a very strong team. But since they had the betting scandal, I think 2 years back or a year back,
yes, the Tyloo
they
and
kind of
Legends
went
thing.
low profile,
Yeah.
and then they came back, and then they obviously coming back strong. So that's quite interesting to see.
All right. And I don't know if you saw, but today we did just before a game we had a huge upset when Skyred lost their first game in ESEA against Brutality from India. That was a huge upset, in fact, just before this game that happened as well. So, and just a couple more questions I have for you. One question is, there's a lack of many like LAN events happening in Southeast Asia as a whole. And do you feel that some teams are actually not that good when it comes to being on LAN, that playing online gives certain teams advantages? Do you feel that way? Because I had a word with Richard Forged from NXL, and also I think it was Ace Ibra from Team Wolf, and they mentioned there are a couple of teams. They actually both quoted Bovines, and they said how some teams are really, really strong online, but on LAN they're really not able to perform. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, for Ibra, before I actually went very competitive in CSGO, he used to call me onliner as well.
Okay.
So it's quite an interesting thing I have there with him. And he's a nice guy, and I respect him as a person. But comments like this tend to get out. I mean, in any game, in fact, there's cases in Singapore itself, when I was competitive in League of Legends, that players could perform online in online tournaments, but they couldn't perform in LAN tournaments.
Okay.
So the term onliner it serves its purpose, I guess, but you can never really know how much a team is full of onliners unless you meet them on LAN yourself. So in a sense, I guess no comments.
All right.
People have the right to their own ideology of what teams are able to do online or offline. So I'm kind of shocked now at the Skyrate loss to Team Brutality. So pardon me a bit.
That's fine, and yeah, that was pretty much a shock. I'll be putting, and for those of you in the stream right now, we'll be putting up the VOD later. And okay, so that pretty much wraps it up here. I know it's pretty late for you guys. I'm not going to keep you on much longer. One final question from one of my subs. This is an interesting question, by the way. Would you rather fight a horse-sized get-right or 100 duck-sized get-rights?
I do believe that if you get me in the Negev, I'll prefer 1,000 or 100 duck-sized get-right.
Well, that's a very logical answer. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Impression for you. Impression, thank you so much for joining me here. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Pleasure speaking to you. I think you have a game tomorrow against one. I'm not sure. Do you have?
We have two, I believe.
2 games tomorrow. Okay, let me just quickly check it up here. We do have a game between you and NXL, and that's going to be a hell of a game, if I'm not wrong. So, yeah, that is a game which I would like to wish you all the best for, and I'm sure that'll be one hell of a game, Indonesia versus Singapore. Any final shout-outs for you, to your fans or to your sponsors, anything?
Well, first of all, shout out to the sponsors of Bf.Nut, Colosseum, Armageddon, as well as Anthrax. And to all my personal friends out there that have been supporting me, and of course to my teammates that's been with me for a very long time.
All right.
And also shout out to all the teams that we're gonna meet at Alpha Cup.
All right.
I believe we're gonna bring something to the table. I'm not sure what yet, but I hope that everybody's gonna be ready for a good LAN event in Singapore.
And hopefully actually, honestly, I wasn't aware about the Alpha Cup, but hopefully if I do manage to get my dirty hands on that IP, I would love to cast that game as well, all those games as well. So, well, there it is from my end, Impression. Anything else you want to add?
For the teams in Alpha Cup, I just got the list, okay?
Alright.
So, there are quite a few strong teams here.
Alright.
I do look forward to seeing them on LAN and how they'll perform. So, especially the team that I see right here, Insidious Gaming.
Insidious Gaming, yes.
Yeah, and Benkai that's been asking me for a shout out since like forever, so shout out to him as well. For being my ex-teammate, abandoning me. So, nothing much else to add, and I'd like to thank you for taking the time for the interview as well.
Alright, no worries, Impression. Thank you indeed. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen, from my end. So, Impression, thank you so much for tuning in, for actually giving the interview, and best of luck for tomorrow's game as well.
Thank you.
Alright.
Have a good night. Yeah?
You too. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was Impression, the IGL from Bf.Nut, who just lost a game 14-16 to Bovines, who took that game. It has been one hell of a game. I am